Okay, so what we've been focused on in this class for this fall is the idea of what we would call text structure. Does anyone who has been in class all fall feel brave enough to define this idea of text structure?
I
Uh-huh. I don't know. Okay, a foundation. That's a good start. That's a good start. Anyone else got any other ideas? And of course, you folks on Zoom are welcome to chime in. I forgot to pull up the chat window in case you guys are chatting. Ooh, okay. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you're getting on a good track there. Uh-huh. Good. So that's an example. Good. Good. So what we're really looking for and what we've been practicing is that for every kind of text, and we would probably, right, we would say a text is probably at least like 3 connected sentences. You know, would be probably like the smallest unit that we would probably call a text. A single sentence is kind of a text, but generally, right, we're using sentences as kind of our building blocks for a text. And this would go all the way up to, right, like a book or an essay or, multi-paragraph something. Right? And so the more complex and long our text gets, right, the more kind of, you can have more structures at play. But there's always going to be kind of that overarching piece, as well as, kind of smaller pieces. But the important thing here, right, is that in order for something to be a text, it's the only reason we would put 3 or more sentences together, right, in an organized way, in a patterned, organized way, is because, right, we want to express, and I put complex, I mean, just to make us feel smart, but I think they are complex. I don't know. You guys tell me. But to help organize complex relationships, and I think complex just by saying, if we need 3 sentences, we're trying to kind of, package a lot of information together, but we need to express complex relationships or ideas. And so what we have noticed as we were kind of doing unit 1, which was our overview, and then, right, each of our subsequent units has then dug into a specific complex relationship, complex ideas that, once again, we generally tend to want to package into text. Okay? So hopefully everyone's following along. Hopefully this doesn't feel too far away from your understanding and ideas. And so, yeah, so when we look at text structures, and we begin to look at the types of patterns, the types of relationships that we're often expressing, we begin to kind of form some categories. So Ryan did a good job beginning to introduce us to our categories. And so we started with the most basic kind of category, right?
Green.
The whiteboard,
No.
the whole screen went.
No, I like that. Okay, sorry.
Um, yeah. Froze, huh? Not sure. Not sure. Yeah, maybe try that. And my brain power depleted. But so the first relationship or text structure that we looked at was basically, right, adding related ideas, right? So the first type of relationship that we dug into in Unit 2, we looked at adding related ideas that just kind of keep a line of thinking going, right? And we're just kind of saying, you know, moreover, in addition, also we got these other things. Okay. In Unit 3, like Brian mentioned, which is the one we just concluded, right? We begin to look at what is kind of the big the big category probably would be green.
And it's like color, small, but it's green.
Uh-oh.
Yeah,
Um,
big.
yeah, let's see. We're in unknown territory. Oh, do you have it in the bottom right corner? Is there a zoom? I see one in mine. Oh, I see how it's. Okay, so, yes?
I just, oh, I propose the law. Okay. I don't,
It's Monday, how about that? Can we blame it on that?
I'm just gonna. Oh, you know, so.
Okay. So the second type of text structure that we dug into and looked at is what we call time orders, kind of like the big category. So it might be chronological order. This is right, our events or a biography, right, where we're putting events in a certain time order to kind of explain a wider, greater thing happening, right? Like battles in a war or kings of a country, right? But other types of time order that we also have to encounter and work with are process and sequence. So it might not be talking about an actual event, but it might be walking us through some kind of thing that we need to do, or once again, kind of describing how something should go step by step. Okay. But we also have other relationships that we're going to be looking at. Can you guys see my screen on Zoom? Somehow feel like you can't because I didn't close the whiteboard. Just a sec. Um, um, Okay. Well, sorry. I give up. Sorry, can't decide what to do with myself here. So yeah, so this is kind of, where we've gotten so far. And of course, the other piece that Ryan mentioned, that's important to note, right, is that for each of our types of text structures, our patterns of organization, and what helps us, right? Oops. Right, here is where we find, right, the other piece that we've been kind of trying to put together with our idea of text structure is that we have, depending on our text structure, right, there tends to be a category of transition signals, right, that are used throughout the text, right, to once again signal, right, express these relationships. Okay. Sorry. Right now, space. Okay. So let's go ahead and try and kind of take a look at what we're talking about with some actual texts. Okay. So if you guys need to finish copying any of the notes that I put on the board, you don't always have to take notes if it's part of what helps you learn. Definitely do it, but it's not like you're graded. So, okay, I'm gonna close this for now, unless anyone needs me to give you a 10 count or a minute. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and see what this looks like. I need to rearrange you guys a bit. Ah. Okay. All right. Okay. So, for example, here are 5 texts. Okay. Um, and I'll put this file in the chat. It'll be a PDF in the Zoom chat. If you guys on Zoom, grab it from there. Okay. There we go. Okay. And just look at the first page with the 5 texts on it. Okay. There we go. Okay. Sorry, guys. There we go. So we have 5 texts here. Is it okay? Let me try this one more time. Hi. We will not be defeated by Monday. All right, trace here. Boy. Okay. Okay. And so let's see. So for for these 5 passages, we have one chronological, one sequence, one cause and effect, one problem solution, and one compare and contrast. Okay. So let me write that out. Actually. Okay. So we have chronological sequence. Well, okay. So these are the 5 text structures that are represented by these 5 paragraphs. Ah, so close. Can I? Oops, sorry. Oh, it's too much to click on. Darn it. Okay, that's not helping. Okay. Wow. Sorry. Oh, okay, it's not downloading for you, Valerie. Okay, just give me a sec and I'll find the link here just a sec. Darn it. Purple, sorry. Okay, we're gonna get through the day, guys. Okay, and so hopefully you guys can see that on the screen, but what I mostly just want you to do right now is, if hopefully you can, and like I said, Valerie, I'll put a link in here in just a sec. So go ahead and see if you can read these 5 paragraphs. And of course, one of the text structures matches each of one of these texts. Oh, I guess I did print it. So there's a these are all right, and okay. All right, so go ahead and start working on that. Let me uh, is what I'm asking you to do make sense, Alexa? Okay. So, do you know, for example, like what chronological means, what a sequence is, what cause and effect looks like? If not, you can just kind of sit and chill. But basically, like, read the paragraph. So the first one, the first paragraph, why do we have schools? So education serves society, or sorry, education in our society serves many purposes, but there are 3 main functions. And so then you would kind of want to think, and you can see that it gives us 3 main functions. And so you would kind of decide, like, what category of ideas is this text doing compared to this text, compared to this text, compared to this. So for now, just read them and see if it kind of makes sense. If you feel like the ideas and the relationships between the ideas are a little different. But we'll get to it. Thank you for sharing. Did that work? All right. Still working on it, Valerie. Okay, here we go. Hopefully it'll open from this link. Uh-oh. All right. Hopefully it'll open from that link, Valerie. But go ahead and like I said, if you still feel lost, at least read the 5 paragraphs and kind of think, are they expressing what kinds of ideas, what are they saying about the topics? How are they kind of organizing and choosing what information to include and why about the topic based on what you think these relationships are as far as chronological sequence, cause and effect. Right. So does it feel like they're identifying, one cause and talking about its effects? Are they talking about multiple results from one thing happening? Compare and contrast, right? Are there kind of 2 topics that are being, similarities and differences are being talked about? Problem and solution, right? Should always start, right, by framing part of the topic as a problem and then, right, offering solutions. All right. Um, no worries.
Ooh. Good. And.
I know, I always find fun, crazy stuff to read, huh? All right, Valerie, hopefully the link helped. And if you guys are trying to work off the screen, hopefully, I wish I could make it a little bigger, but if you want, maybe hopefully got through the first part already. Okay, good. Thanks, Valerie. Oh, hopefully. Okay, focusing.
Get, advice.
Okay, what's your advice?
Remember, I really, yes, more than the intro.
Mm-hmm.
So you know, my driver's very helpful.
Okay. Yeah.
Very hard time.
Yeah, that is a good tip. Just one second. Okay. All right. Fine. Okay. Okay. Finally. Where's that? So just pay your name and then sign down in the bottom and submit that form. I'll be right. All right. You guys got them all matched up with their text structure? You need a little more time?
That's policy.
All right. I love it. And we'll have for coffee first. We certainly cannot proceed without that. Awesome. Okay. So okay. Okay, let's go ahead and whoa. Okay. I know I keep psyching you guys out. Okay. Let's do that. Okay. All right. So first passage, and hopefully you guys notice one thing at least. In that these all have titles as well. So remember that titles can sometimes also, right, give us some clues as far as our topic and text structure as well. So right away, Does anyone associate or connect a certain text structure that would help to answer the question why?
God,
Okay. Why do you say cause and effect?
a got to three. Yeah. Or you just sort of three steps up and by.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I can't.
Yeah, exactly, right? So a why question does kind of what we would say like elicit, right, a cause and effect relationship, because when we ask why, we're asking for basically causes, right? And of course I'm writing this with my mouse, so that's why my penmanship looks worse. And I'm going really slow and I can't spell. Okay, good. So right away when I see the title and I see why something, I'm kind of already going to think about cause and effect. Is this passage cause and effect? Is that what you chose to call it? From our 5 choices of, or was there a better text structure? And there's a different one that's cause and effect.
I pick sequence.
Okay, a sequence. Okay. We'll definitely get a sense of it here, because yeah, it doesn't really have a lot of cause and effect like signal language in it, right?
Yeah, I didn't pick that because it said first.
Mm-hmm.
Second, third.
Yeah. And so it's definitely kind of laid out like a sequence, although it's almost kind of like our addition paragraphs, right? Where in the topic sentence, right, they're kind of introducing that. Okay, so it does the thought sequence too. So we'll definitely take a look here. Just remember that a sequence is more like steps. So if it's talking about functions, unless the functions kind of like a chain reaction where they have to kind of play off each other, sequence might be best somewhere else, but we'll take a look. So education in our society serves many purposes, but there are 3 main functions. So what is the topic? Just based on that first sentence, what's the topic of the paragraph?
Education in our society.
Good. And not just education, right? But we're kind of looking at it at this very, what we would kind of say, societal level, right? And so once again, the cause, right, is society or education, right? And it will have specific effects on our society, okay? And so they talk about 3 main functions, right, of schools, okay, and how that kind of plays back. And so the schools, of course, are kind of society's way of organizing education, I guess we could say. All right, so first, oh, okay. Thank you. Thank you, Patrice. I'm glad Josephine's with you. I didn't realize that. That's great. Welcome, Josephine. So first, students learn skills that help prepare them for society, right? So the first effect of schools on society, right, is, so that's effect number 1 is what I would see, right? Because once again, functions are kind of maybe not necessarily causes, but they're kind of like a little bit more, but we'll see. Reading, writing, and mathematics are essential in today's workplace, and many people learn these skills in school. Hopefully, more than many people. All right. Second effect of schools: schools serve communities, right? So the second societal effect, and here when they talk about serving functions or serving purposes, we could definitely say these are, positive effects that we're focusing on in this paragraph as well. So that's when you kind of say, is it a problem that they're fixing, or is it just something that kind of positively benefits society? But I don't see any solutions. So it's not problem solution. Whether by functioning as polling locations during elections or providing safe havens for students in temporary living situations, schools add value to community. Third, public schools provide a structured environment for children to engage in. productive activities during many days of the year while their adult caretakers may be working. In other words, public schools also provide daycare. These are three of the primary reasons why we have school in our society. And so I would say it's probably more cause and effect. It looks like, but let's go ahead and see what we see in the other paragraphs before we 100% choose that one. I think it sounds good. Now, this one as well, hopefully, if you were here for unit 3, this one hopefully felt kind of easy. And even the title, once again, kind of gives us some idea of what kind of relationship we're going to be talking about. But of course, right away, what catches my eye in this text, right, is all of this, right? And so I see something like milestones. If you guys know that term or familiar with what, how it's used. So what did you guys say? So what kind of text structure do we have in number 2? Okay. And good. And what's the topic? What's it giving us a chronological detailing of? All schools? Any school? Yeah, I think you're right there. Yep. Not just any school, right? But here it's talking at least about public high school, which I guess would kind of, show, right, that, high school wasn't always, a huge component of the school system in the US. But then, right, by 1900, right, you at least had to go to school till 14. So kind of getting into middle school. And about a decade later, right, we've got a pretty good chunk of kids in school in these one-room schools. And then by the end of World War I, right, there was now a requirement. And then, so yeah, I think it's kind of talking about high school, but it's kind of also just talking about US schools, kind of. But good, I would agree. Does everyone feel like this is a good chronological text? Now, Despa, I know you said compare and contrast. I'm not really seeing any points of similarity or difference, which is what compare and contrast would be. Thoughts, comments? All right, I'm going to put chronological here for now. All right, let's look at number 3. Okay. So number 3, there's more, or excuse me. So number 3's title, not very helpful. Have a great day. I mean, it's a nice thought. Excuse me. Yes, Rain. Okay, why do you think it's a sequence? Okay, so it kind of walks us through a day. Okay. All right, yeah, I agree. I think we're going to see that here. So there's more than one way to have a successful school day, right? And so we can kind of figure out that this is like our topic, but a great way is to be well prepared. And then, right, it goes into kind of the sequence, right? The first thing you should do next, right? Sometimes we use, right, this is called a conditional, right? When we kind of give a scenario using if, and then we see lastly, right? So remember, so I would agree, this is a sequence, right? Giving us kind of step-by-step instructions of how we can get through something. So does it make sense on why this is a sequence?
Yeah, now that I'm looking at it, yeah.
But I think we have college perspective. I'm gonna put that. up here. Okay, let's look at the next one. Oh, sorry for my scribbles. Okay. All right. Number 4 is called attendance. Once again, not a very helpful title. Maybe gives us the topic.
I get four, five, back
Good. Okay. Despa says 4 is problem and solution. Did anyone else choose that? On how to? Yeah, and Angelica? Good. I agree. Right away, having good attendance is important because attendance determines the school's funding. Some students have poor attendance, right? So right away, once again, we kind of, when we are detecting, right, that, you're kind of framing the topic in kind of a negative light, right? I mean, so it's really important. So we've defined it as important, but we've also defined it as kind of a problem, right? And so some students have poor attendance, and the school has tried many ways of addressing this. Okay. And then it goes into the ways, right? And so hopefully you guys did a beautiful job of recognizing this problem and solution. It's pretty direct. Hopefully it feels pretty good. You know, right. And so then we get one solution, talk to parents on the phone, mailed letters, still didn't really seem to solve the problem. So the next solution was parent teacher conferences, and then kind of conclusion with hope this solution works better, right? So we got one problem. We get information about why the problem is important to take care of, and a little bit of description to help us know, yes, it is a problem. And then a couple solutions. Okay, last one.
I'm
Okay,
back.
how do we know this, Ryan?
And all that,
Exactly, good. All the other ones were chosen. What are the two topics being compared and or contrasted in this passage?
Charter of public
Good. Charter and public what? Both?
schools.
Oh, schools. Good. So we're comparing kind of two school systems. And so here, and if you guys remember, but it's okay if you don't, right? We even have a comparison word in the title, right? If we're asking if something is harder, that's comparing, right? We at least have to have two things to say X is harder than Y, right? But Z is the hardest, right? So right away in the title, I see some comparison language. So I'm already kind of thinking, okay, if we have one style and our title's asking us, right, if it's harder, then clearly we're going to have to compare it to something else, right? And so we get this traditional neighborhood schools, right, versus charter schools. So those are the two kind of types of public schools that are being compared and contrasted. So we get some similarities, right? We use words like both, right? To signal something that they share in common, right? Fill traditional roles like a school. But, right, and then here's where they signal a contrast though. And then they talk about, right, points of contrast. So here's one key difference. And we even get a specific example, right? And then on the contrary, which would be the other side, okay? And then we get some more contrast here, right? While both this is true, here's where they differ, Okay, so lots of good compare and contrast language in paragraph 5, even if you only needed to use the power of elimination. So if we go back up to paragraph 1, does everyone feel better about why that's a compare and contrast text structure? And so once again, there's not a lot of signal words to help us unless you, right, think about generally if you're describing something's functions, right, a function tells us why, right? It gives us the cause for something's existence, right? Schools just didn't always exist, right? We had to basically kind of weave them into our society. And so if you see something like functions, remember results or outcomes, even benefits, once again, are kind of cause and effect because you're saying, right, this thing produces this positive thing, like a benefit. So they signaled this, so it is a little harder to detect, but so, and remember that our time and sequence words really can kind of hide out in other texts. So, you know, before you say for sure it's a sequence, don't ever like lock it in until you made sure that you've eliminated all the other choices. But no worries, you guys did a good job on this, and I think you're getting better, right, than when we started this unit back in August. So any questions or concerns about this little review activity just to kind of get us rolling again? Okay, awesome. Okay, so we're going to start unit 4 today in the last part of class here. And so as you can see, we're almost to compare and contrast and cause and effect, and I should probably throw a problem solution down at the bottom here. But like I said, we went through and we talked specifically just about kind of our most basic, you know, relationship among ideas, which is just these are related ideas that I'm putting together, right? Kind of running train of thought kind of thing. Then we begin to have a little bit more purpose and focus by looking at text structures with our time order, chronological sequences or processes. Now we're moving on to unit 4. So we're going to look at how, right, illustration, and we've talked about descriptive quite a bit, right? Because once again, descriptive gets woven into a lot of other text structures because we need description in a lot of places. Same with illustration. And so this is all about kind of providing explanations and evidence for what we're saying or what we could say we're claiming as authors. So if you're if you want a hard copy of this lesson, I have some here at the Flagstaff campus. If you're closer to the Page campus, they can, if you go there, Patrice can print one for you. Excuse me. But if you want it, but you don't feel like you can pick it up on your own, let me know. I can always send them out as well, like snail mail style. Takes a little bit, but it's better than nothing. Okay, focusing. I do, yeah. I'm sorry, I'm getting there. I'm slow. I'm a turtle today. Oh, no. Oh, thanks, Ray. No, do you know what collating is?
Yeah.
Yeah. And stapled them. I'm like, oh God, okay. Eventually we'll work on this. Just give me a sec. I'll hand off the first page here. Oh man. I hopefully you guys don't struggle as much as I do. All right. Did not even notice that on Friday when I did this. I was like, oh, look at this. I'm getting ahead. Okay. All right, and I'll try and get you guys. You pass them down for me. There's at least the first page. Okay. All right. So hopefully you guys on Zoom, also got them, okay. So kind of where we usually always start, right? We start with this kind of very straightforward contrast. If you look at these two sentences here, right, I become very absent-minded. I guess this is hitting home really strongly right now, although I guess I'm never not, so. So last week I went to work on my day off. I actually did do that, but only because I needed a vaccine. So it doesn't count it. All right, so we could just say it like that, but if we look at the second version, what is different in the second version or the second sentence down here compared to the first sentence? Where's the difference? Good, thank you. Right? So instead, if I said something like, oh, I've become very absent-minded last week, for instance, I went to work on my day off, okay, right? I have made it clear that what happened is just one example, right? And so if I'm going to call myself absent-minded, right, here's one example of me being it, but it's only an illustration, right, of clearly my larger problem, right? And so we do this, right? We provide illustrations or examples because we want to offer concrete evidence of, what we're saying is happening to us, okay? And so, of course, as we get into especially argumentative type text structures, which we're not going to get to probably till spring, because that's kind of all one whole quarter's worth of stuff. But once again, evidence is what we need, right, to show that's true, right? So if someone says, I become very absent-minded, and maybe you're like, well, I haven't noticed that, right? You would maybe potentially ask that person, right? Well, what do you mean, right? Or what are you saying? What happened, right? To make you feel this way or feel that you've become this way, okay? And so just like we've seen with a lot of our signal words, these illustration words help to show where we are trying to provide that explanation or evidence for kind of these more abstract ideas of how we're feeling or what we think we are. So for example, here's another example. I always appreciate our cartoon examples. So looks like the dude in the chair says, I do share my deepest emotions with you. For instance, I'm tired, I'm hungry and tired. Those are both deep emotions, right? So once again, gave two specific deep emotions, and these do feel like emotions at times, right? And so giving a couple examples, sometimes the examples are kind of quick lists. Other times, right, the examples are more specific, okay?
Oh,
Exactly.
yeah. Oh. Well, thank you so much.
Uh-huh.
On that one. Oh,
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So that's the next page, guys. I'm just gonna keep trying to do this as we go along. Great. Okay, so once again, right? Illustration words indicate that an author will provide one or more examples to develop and clarify a given idea. So generally those given ideas, like Ryan was saying, right, these are kind of like emotions or a little bit more of what we would say are kind of abstract ideas. Okay. And so once again, by providing a concrete example, it helps us kind of have a better sense of where that person is specifically coming from, what they want us to personally understand. Okay. I was struggling to communicate with my partner today. So we, most commonly would see something like, for example, for instance, such as, but you can also use words like including blank, specifically, or to be specific. You can use, as an illustration. It might start one example is this, another example. So once again, just being really direct. Okay. And then if we're giving like more, I don't know what I want to say, like concrete evidence that is true of what you're saying, you might use words like in fact, but if you're actually citing specific evidence as well, right, you might also use those bottom. Okay, everyone feeling okay? Following along? Making sense? No one's confused. Hopefully everyone has access to the lesson in one way or another. Okay, so let's look at some example sentences. Remember, we always kind of start at the sentence level, connecting, two sentences together. Because once again, right, what sentence one says, if we're connecting it in the middle, then we know what's to follow, right? That this is kind of setting it up, and then we're going to follow it with a specific example, okay? Certain colors are associated with particular emotions. For instance, green represents jealousy, red stands for anger, and blue means gloomy. I missed the end of what you said. I'm sorry.
It's fine.
Good question. Is maybe just jealous? Yeah, I guess I had sad hair for a while. I haven't had jealous hair. But hopefully you kind of see so how we start by just kind of making a claim, okay? And then supporting that claim with either one or more specific examples. And these words generally tend to, we'll have one sentence and then our signal, then the other sentence. And whatever follows our signal is going to be that example. My grandmother doesn't hear very well anymore. For example, whenever I say, hi, Granny, she answers fine, just fine. I don't know if that's a hearing problem per se. Might be something else going on. Okay. Or a cat's curiosity can get it into ridiculous situations. Whoa, geez. Once a neighbor's cat got its head stuck in the garbage disposal. Not a very pleasant image. Very vivid just illustration there, right? A very clear example we can see. My cat's definitely been watching the birds out the window. Keeps trying to jump at them. Okay. So hopefully you kind of see how these phrases get used, and they're used a little bit more differently. So usually we're going to start off our specific example sentence with one of these signals like you see in our examples. So on the back of page 2, okay, you've got 5 sentences. So go ahead and use the phrases in the box at the bottom of page 1 to fill in the blanks of the sentences 1 through 5 on page 2, okay? Does that make sense what I'm asking y'all to do?
No.
And just let me know if you're on Zoom in the chat when you're ready to talk about your answers. Remember, it's really about trying to choose which signal you think kind of makes the ideas flow the most smoothly together.
No.
Yes. Just right up there, Despa. Is that what you need to see?
No, just the list of words.
Oh,
I got most of them. I just didn't get the very bottom.
okay, no worries. There you go.
I'm done with it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, good. I like that for number 1. Hey, Neo. She's passing all the additional pages down to you, just so you know. Seems how I'm not. I never get it quite right. All right. Anyone still need a few more minutes to fill in the blanks of these 5 sentences? It shouldn't have been too hard because it's pretty straightforward, I think. All right, I'll give you guys another 2 minutes or so. No problem. Yep, absolutely.
Dang. Take your head out.
I
What?
know. I'm gonna have to sit here and collate all the rest of these. I'll get some good exercise to set up a assembly line. I really am pretty good at giving myself more work than I should. kind of lost and
How much?
Yes. We're not to that part yet. Have you ever heard of a staple remover? El grabador. All right. Okay. So for number one, Despa likes the phrase, for example, let's try that out here. So animals were once tried for crimes. And so, yeah, I mean, and really any phrase would work here. Did anyone use a different term here? Although I like this sentence was what I was like, trying to picture that as well. It's quite a visual. Man, we're not being very, very nice to animals today in our example sentences, but I'm not the author, okay? All right, number two, some soap opera fans take the shows too seriously. The viewers who actually send threats to soap opera villains. What'd you guys put right here?
For instance?
Yep, you could use specifically really anything, and hopefully you notice how it's because it's interrupting the main information in the sentence, we want to put commas around it. So this is going to be a little bit different. If I could actually type, my fingers are wrong. Good, yeah. So just make sure that if you kind of like insert it into the middle of the sentence that you put commas around it, because it really is just a signal. It's not a grammatical, a necessary grammatical part of the sentence. So we want to signal that with commas. Okay. My mother believes in various superstitions. The idea that if you drop a fork, that means company's coming. Such as. Good. Yeah, I think such as works just fine. Did anyone else use anything different?
More examples.
Yeah. For example, works just as fine. I think because if we use for example, you might need a comma here. I'm always bad with these ones because there's not as much of a pattern, so it's harder for me to remember. All right, when a couple divorces, the partners often experience a wide range of emotions. What'd you guys put here? Including, yeah, or for instance, all of them work here. It was funny when I was trying to make the answer key for this because I was like, you know how like some of the other ones we looked at, there was kind of one right answer. Okay, and then the last one, people have chosen to end their lives in a variety of unusual ways, as in, I guess it just wants us to put, what'd you guys put in number 5 here? Illustration? Oh, okay. Thank you. I guess that one kind of needs it. But you could put as an example as well. But yeah. Ooh. That sounds like an awful, oh. Sorry, I'm like, man, these are just really, really vivid illustrations we're encountering today. But good. So illustration words are common in all types of writing. One way they are used in textperts. One way that they're used in textbooks is in the pattern of organization known as the definition and example pattern. Okay. So remember our text structure here is kind of a descriptive text. And I would say compared to our other texts that we've looked at, these pieces are going to be kind of, once again, kind of inserted into certain other types of text structures. So if you see kind of an overarching one and then an example or two, then yeah. Okay. So the definition and example pattern. Okay. And so you can kind of see it mapped out here, and we'll we'll just we're almost done here, guys. Sorry. To get a sense of the definition and pattern, try to arrange, oh yeah, sorry. Should we just start here? Okay, let's just jump to here. Okay, so our paragraph begins with the definition. Okay. You have to take off, Neil?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you able to come in and do your progress test sometime in the afternoon this week?
So tomorrow?
Tomorrow afternoon? Yeah. Can you come at like 2:30? Okay. Plan on that, okay? You can come for math too, but take care. All right, so it begins with a definition. Apathy is an avoidance response in which a person acknowledges unpleasant information, but pretends he or she does not care about it. Okay, the second sentence makes it clear this meaning of apathy with an example. Good, yep. Okay. Someone might, for instance, sit calmly through a friend's criticism and act as if it didn't bother him or her. Okay. And then the third sentence then provides an added example. Okay. So hopefully it kind of makes sense how this pattern works. So if the purpose of the paragraph is to define an idea, which we'd probably say is like a descriptive text structure. Okay. Of course, if its purpose is to define, that's where it's going to start, and then use those examples, right, to continue to clarify the meaning in case, right, just the definition alone doesn't quite make it clear enough, okay? And so, you know, and using those illustration words, right, to really make it clear how that works. And so the definition and example pattern of organization includes just what its name suggests, right? A definition and one or more examples. So pretty straightforward. Nothing should feel earth-shatteringly crazy or hard. Are there any final comments or concerns before we're done today? So a few more pages to pass out to you guys, okay? You're good, Bryce? Did you finish your?
Yeah.
Okay. They should send you like a text or an email with your results, okay? And we can just go from there, okay?
Well, thank you.
Yeah, take care. Thank you. Pardon?
You know, good times long, I guess.
That's a good question. I don't remember. Oops, I only give you. All right, one more, and then you guys can see. All right. Anyone else on Zoom got any other questions or concerns before we're done with class for today? We'll have math tonight at 6 and math tomorrow morning at 10. So hopefully everyone who was new, feeling good. All right, there's the last one. Let me think this stapler. You're welcome, Adisa. All right. Can you pronounce your name one more time for me? Because I feel like I didn't get it.
Say my name,
Yes, please.
Alexia.
Okay, Alexia. Okay. I was like, I know I'm not doing it right. Thank you. I'm sorry. You'll have to forgive me in my, Monday. All right, cool. Pardon? Oh, yeah. Oh. Or if you wanna, yeah, hopefully that one works okay. Let me know if it doesn't. Should. Otherwise, yeah, it's kind of. Excellent. We will see you guys. Yeah, take care. Have a great rest of your day. Yes, Valerie, I do have copies of the packet on campus. Yes. I just need to collate them.
It's all good.
Indeed. Are you gonna come for computer class later today?
Yeah, fine.
Uh-huh. But yes, we can talk about your test, tomorrow if that's cool. I will try to remember, I'll write myself a note.
Do I have any test that I'm not thinking? Alright.
You're getting close, but I think you're like at 30 or something. Do you want me to check? Okay.
Please?
Yeah, absolutely. Just one sec. Any questions or anything, Alexia? You feeling okay? Okay, we'll see you around. Hopefully Wednesday or tomorrow.
Yeah, Wednesday.
Okay. 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 Green. Oh. See. Yep, it says 34, so probably after this week, so probably next week or so, you'll be ready for progress test, okay? Awesome, yeah, take care. Thanks.